Toastmaster of the evening. Sorry.
President?
So you're switching it over to the invocation, which is Elizabeth Clare.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, hi fellow Toastmasters. Our invocation tonight is a little story that might be appropriate for an exemplary meeting. Once upon a time, there were two woodcutters who were applying for a job, and there was only one job. So the boss man said, whoever can cut the most wood will get the job. So he set them up in a bunch of trees, and they couldn't quite see each other, but they were each chopping away. And they chopped, and around 11 o'clock, one of the woodcutters left and came back in 10 minutes. And the other woodcutter said, well, good, I'm ahead of him because I've been chopping steadily. And then at lunchtime, the other guy left for an hour, and he came back, and the first one didn't even eat. He just kept chopping and chopping. And then in the afternoon, the guy who was leaving left again and came back in 10 minutes. And the other guy was so sure he had chopped more wood and was going to get the job. He was thrilled. And at the end of the day, the boss man came and looked at the two piles of wood. And lo and behold, the guy who'd been leaving had chopped more wood than the guy who had chopped all day long. And he said, not fair, how'd that happen? You left 4 times and I just kept chopping. Where did you go? And it's not fair. The other guy said, oh, simple. I just went to sharpen my axe. Whoa. So that's what we do at Toastmasters. We are sharpening our axe so that we can chop more wood, get better jobs, rise up in the world, etc. So don't forget to come to your Toastmasters meeting to sharpen your communication skills, leadership skills, and all of that. Mr. President.
All right. Fantastic.
Oh, I'm supposed to lead the pledge to the flag. Do we have a flag?
Oh,
What if we're British?
I haven't done that. Usually we
Here's
we can do
the
that.
flag, right?
I have one if you want me to go get it. Just in the
Just
other
around the
room.
corner? Sure, that sounds good. First, she's got to iron it and get the wrinkles out.
I still have my 4th of July decor.
Very good. Okay, fellow Toastmasters, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And to the republic
for
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and
justice
justice for all.
The pledge changed when I was like 12 years old. So I get stuck right at that part. What comes
Were they
next?
added under God?
When they added under God, right?
Yeah.
I kind of think all universes and all countries are under God.
That's kind of interesting.
It was Eisenhower who had that idea. So it certainly messed up my brain because it still got the old way. Anyway, I will turn control of the meeting back to our exemplary president.
Oh,
No? Yes?
oh,
Who?
exemplary. Wow.
David.
Okay. We didn't even get to the word master, so I don't know if that's a
Oh
compliment.
no, I wasn't doing general evaluator. I was
Yeah, I know.
doing
I said
invocation.
we didn't get to the word master, so I'm not sure if that was an insult or compliment yet.
It's up there now.
I'm joking. I'm joking. So welcome everyone. Do you have any? Jake Bondi is back. Jake,
Hey, how you
how's it
doing?
going?
Good.
Welcome back. I saw you reached out to me, and then I guess we didn't get. We'll get that squared away. Get our prospects and guests on the list. Glad you came to join us, and you remembered to come back. So, that's awesome. Good thing. Good to have you. And Toastmaster Kathleen Elliott, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us again. Luke Dobbs, yeah, you're family now. Everyone here is family, but Luke Dobbs has been around block for a little bit. So, all right. I don't have any announcements. It's been a long day, a long week. So I really not going to take up any more time. I'm just going to pass this over to our Toastmaster of the evening, Mr. Toastmaster Sandeep. Toastmaster, you have the virtual lecture.
Thank you, President, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. So it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all to New Beginnings Toastmasters. So this is my first Toastmaster of the evening. This is my first time I'm doing the role. So for the benefit of the guests, so I would like to explain the structure of the meeting first. So we are going to have 3 sections. The first section is going to be the prepared speech section, where the speakers are going to speak based on what project and what pathway they have chosen. So we have one speaker for today, that's Robert Riggs. And then we will have a short break, we'll come back, and then we'll have the table topic section, where all of you are welcome to practice impromptu speaking. Even the guests are welcome. So that would be the second round, and then that's going to be followed by the evaluation round, where all the prepared speeches and other aspects of the meeting is going to be evaluated. So that would be the final round. So now let's get on with the agenda. So as Toastmaster of the day, it's my duty to introduce the role bearers for today, who are going to assist me in today's meeting. So first, let me introduce the general evaluator for today, Madam Toastmaster Elizabeth Clare. So let's all welcome the general evaluator for today.
Thank you very much, Rani, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters. And oh my God, look, it's the man from the woods. I don't recognize it. Does anyone recognize him? Good thing your name is up. Good thing your name is up, so we'll know who it is. I am your general evaluator for the evening, and it is my pleasant role to give feedback so that we can learn from what we did right and do more of that, and learn from any mishaps we have so we do fewer of those. A Toastmasters meeting is a very safe place to make mistakes because we learn from our mistakes, and we all learn from each other's mistakes too. So we can speak without fear and speak with exemplary courage. The general evaluator's job is quite intensive, and you'll be ready to be a general evaluator when you have done 4 or 5 speeches and you have evaluated other people's speeches and you've been a Toastmaster of the evening. But here on Zoom, since there's so few of us, you might get to be general evaluator a lot sooner. But to help you, there's a general evaluator cheat sheet. So whoever steps up with the courage to be general evaluator in the future, just email me and I will send you a cheat sheet so that you'll know what comes next. I have a wonderful team to help evaluate the evening, and I'll call on them to explain what their roles are this evening. Asha Azar is our word master and something else. Yes, listen up, master. Asha, can you explain the word of the evening and why we use it, and what it will be? Bless you.
Thank you. Yes, I can explain the word of the day, which has already been used. So let's give points for that because I did share it before the meeting began. It is exemplary. And here we have an exemplary group of people. It is spelled EXEMPLARY. Kind of a fun word consonant-wise with the M and the P. And it means something that is beyond the pale, beyond the average. And it could describe anything that is inspiring. An author, some art, a person, and we tend to admire exemplary things. In the example I gave, it was of how we tried to prepare for our different roles in Toastmasters, but we can also think of people like Stephen Hawking as exemplary, and maybe the artwork of Stephen Wiltshire, who is an artist in London who recreates incredibly detailed artwork after seeing it one time, such as a complete and total view of Manhattan or the London skyline. As the listen up person, I will be listening along with the rest of you and asking questions near the end of the meeting about what everybody spoke about, both in speeches and in table topics. So let's listen along together, give everyone our full attention, and make this fun. And thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Back to you, General Evaluator Elizabeth.
Thank you, Toastmaster Asha Azar. Next, we have our counter and grammarian serving double duty. That will be Sean's Markle, or just Sean Markle. Please tell us what you'll be doing about the ahs and the ums and the grammar.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Markle, and I will be fulfilling the role as a grammarian and counter. So basically, simply put, the counter is someone who keeps track of how many times an individual or person uses filler words subconsciously and unconsciously. For example, so, and, you know. And my second role is the grammarian. And basically, the grammarian's role is to keep tab of everyone's grammar usage and write down any, let's say, bad or horrible usage of grammar. And now back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Sean. And we time things, and Zach Phillips will tell us why we time and how he's going to time and how much time we have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Elizabeth. I am your timer for this evening. Unfortunately, my camera doesn't allow, green screens and things like that. So we only have one speech this evening, and that's a 5 to 7 minute speech. So at 5 minutes, I hold up this green thing. At 6 minutes, I will hold up this yellow thing, piece of mail. And at 7 minutes, I will hold up this red ball. I will try to find better objects if I can. And then next is table topics, hosted by Mr. Luke Dobbs. And that is a 1 to 2 minute impromptu speech. And the green will be at 1. The yellow will be at 1.5 or 1.5. And 2 minutes, I'll get the red ball treatment. Or you'll get the red ball treatment. Finally, the evaluation. We have 2 evaluators, and at 2 minutes, it'll be green. 2.5 minutes, it'll be yellow, and 3 minutes, it will be red. Thank you so much, and back to you, Elizabeth Clare.
An exemplary job, Zach Phillips. Thank you. Our speaker this evening will have a spoken evaluation by the evaluator, and each of us can also evaluate by clicking on the person's 3 little dots and going to the chat. That would be Robert Riggs. And in the chat, just give him your impression, what you liked about his speech, why it was good, what he excelled in, and any comments about how he could improve the next time. I love the way you look, Robert. I love the beard. It's so soft and fluffy. Okay. So later in the evening, I will call on the team to give their reports and give my own general evaluator's report. And at this point, I'll transfer control of the meeting back to Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, for doing the good job of introducing the helper roles. For now, let's move on to the prepared speeches. So since we just have one speaker, so let's all introduce Robert Riggs to the stage, and he's doing his pathways in visionary communication L2, and his project is Understanding Your Leadership Style. The speech title is Communicator, Integrity, Optimistic, Creative, Exemplary, oh my. So let's all welcome Robert Riggs after a 16-week hiatus from the club. Did he get bored? No. Did he get cancelled by our club members? Depends on who you talk to. He took a sabbatical after a long period of service to his employers and his friends, but is now back to talk about what he learned during that time as a leader. There are many qualities that make up an effective leader, and they are rated very differently based on various subjective interpretations. So, here to talk from his own biased view is your immediate past president, the mountain man. Let's all welcome Robert Rex with a round of applause.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I am, if you can hear me, I just want to make sure up front, if you can hear me, my name is Robert Riggs. Some of you haven't met me yet. I think Jake Bondi hasn't met me yet. Luke Dobbs probably hasn't met me yet. Kathleen, I believe I've met you at past events in the district, but it's been a while. So I think I've met most people here. Most people kind of have a feel for who I am and what I represent. A lot of people who've been here before know that I was the president last year. I enjoyed being the president, but it was also a struggle for me. It taught me a lot about leadership, and that's what my speech is about tonight. I've had a lot of time to think about 3 or 4 months walking on the trail, how I was as a president, or how I was in a VPM as a pastor, how I worked in a group together at my job. It's given me a time to reflect on who I am. So I have a quick question for you. Before I give you my ideas about who I am as a leader and what I represent, what makes an exemplary leader to you? So if anybody wants to unmute themselves real quick, just shout it out. Give me an example of something or a group of things that make an exemplary leader. Zach, for example, is unmuted right now, so he can tell me what makes an exemplary leader, Zach.
Having the confidence and forthrightness to just say it and, just not necessarily take any other people's opinions. I mean, sometimes is what it needs to be a good leader.
Okay.
There can be a little diplomacy, but just forthrightness and just sticking to your guns, so to speak.
All right, sticking to the guns, pal. By the way, my
There we
guns
go.
have gotten smaller since I've been walking the entire time. Luke Dobbs is unmuted. I think he's about to tell me something about what makes an exemplary leader.
Sure. I'd say definitely some key aspects would be consistency and fairness.
Okay.
Key in building trust, and trust is a big one.
Thank you. I would agree with that 100%. Elizabeth, you unmuted yourself.
I think a good leader has a vision that inspires other people, like a vision of goodness or fairness, something that takes people beyond where they are and moves them so that they get energized by the leader's vision.
Okay. Yeah, I think everybody, I would agree with that as well. So I think everybody can agree with all three of those interpretations, what makes an exemplary leader. Now I have a next question for you real quick, just to ponder. Were all those answers the exact same? No. As a matter of fact, they were all distinct and important and true, but they were all different. And what we start to realize as individuals is that what we want in a leader is ultimately what we represent in our own lives, what we want to get from a leader. That's what we believe is what makes the best qualities of a leader. I personally believe that there are certain leaders that certain qualities that a leader cannot be without. For example, communication. You have to be able to communicate. Elizabeth talked about having a vision. That is 100% communication. And another really one that you have to have, that you cannot not have, or else everything else falls apart, is integrity. So you have to have communication and integrity. Those are two really important things. And then there's some other qualities that kind of make everything else stand up really well. For example, if you're creative or you're open to creative ideas, that's really going to help you as a leader. Optimism. I've been told more than once, Rob, don't be so, don't be so repressive. Don't be a negative Nancy. And I'm just like, okay, fine. I sometimes call it realistic. Some people want me to be more optimistic. I get it. But above all, and then of course, a leader would have to lead by example. It is true, Elizabeth, you have to have this great vision, inspire people to do more. It's often the greatest leaders are the ones that inspire people to become better than themselves. They must do that first by example, I personally believe. A great leader knows how to pivot and move, in my opinion, even if everyone else cannot. I really believe that, like Zach said, a great leader knows how to stick to his guns. And if 80% of the people disagree with him, but he's still making the right call, you better believe that you can stick to your guns if you can do it. So I took a quiz on Toastmasters to find out what kind of leader I was. And I can tell you that I had different results. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share those results with you here shortly. Give me 1 second. I'm going to open a file and I'm going to go ahead and send you a Word document that gives those exact results. of who Robert Riggs is as a leader. Sorry, everybody. Should have done this ahead of time. There we go. So hopefully you can see that. Robert Riggs has just shared with you the results of his leadership quiz. This right here kind of breaks down, according to Toastmasters, where the different qualities of a leader are and what he represents. I can tell you that I personally agree with the top result. I am very much a coach. I love being a coach as a leader. I love being able to motivate people to do better and one-on-one kind of that. Oh, how do you think you could have done this better? How do you think you could have done that better? These are things that I would love to do. I'm a skill builder. I'm a motivator. I also like to say that I like change. So I really don't work well with people who hate change. If I'm a coach, I don't always have the patience for that. Now, what are some other things that I like to do? Well, I can be authoritative and I can be democratic. Those kind of seem like opposites, but apparently I have the same score according to this quiz that I took. I often like to, so from an authoritative perspective, I have a clear direction, I'm clear at motivation, and I have clear expectations. I'm very clear on those three fronts. I think it's because I'm direct in my vocalization. Next, how am I a democratic leader? Well, I like to collaborate, I like to communicate, and I like consensus. Even though I sometimes know the answer, I won't always lead in that direction until I feel like everybody else has come to that same conclusion or a similar conclusion. But above all else, I can tell you one thing that I'm not. I am not bureaucratic. I'm not even close to bureaucratic. I believe that people make a group, not a system or rules. That kind of stinks if you're an area director, Kathleen Elliott, because sometimes you have to play within the system all the time. I personally like playing with people, not systems. And so people who do know me, who've seen me work as a leader, like Lee Walker, or maybe even Tammy, or maybe even, I don't know, Asha or Sandeep, you've seen me before as a leader. What makes me a good leader? Any one of you could unmute yourselves, tell me what makes me a good leader.
You're very clear and goal directed.
Okay.
And you do your best to get people on board with that and with your goals for Toastmasters moving forward and how we can all improve ourselves and the club.
Okay, so clear voice, clear vision, very direct.
And I agree, you're a good coach and you keep in touch with people, so you're very people oriented.
Okay. Sandeep, what makes me a bad leader?
I don't know. I don't want to know what to say now, but I can say what makes you a good leader. What makes you a good leader? You have that persuasive influence on people, like, you know, how to bring people together and like persuade them and those kind of things. That's how I got into the club, and many of the people followed after me. So I don't want to give you any negative feedback or something.
Well, I can tell you personally, one thing that makes me a good leader is I have very thick skin. So I would like to hear what makes me a bad leader. So Lee Walker or Elizabeth Clare or Zach or Captain Red Ball, as I like to call Zach right now, if anybody, or even Asha or Tammy, if anybody could tell me what makes me a bad leader, throw anything out there. Yes, Elizabeth.
I heard other people say you're pushy. I don't find you pushy,
yes.
but I heard other people say that. More than one.
Okay. I would say more than at least 100. How about you, Lee Walker? Anybody else? Any more?
I agree with Elizabeth. You're pushing it, but I mean, just like the good comments people have made, encouraging, you're helpful. You stay in touch with people, communicate, and just personable, and just willing to help out when people need some help or motivation.
Well, thank you. Tammy is unmuted, so she has something bad to say about me. What makes me a bad leader, Tammy?
I would not say it's bad, but you definitely micromanage, which some people could see as a good quality and some don't. So yeah, you were getting better at letting the reins go a little more towards the end there.
I would agree with that 100%, Tammy. That is definitely something I constantly struggle with. I also struggle with seeing red balls. That is something I very much struggle with. I'll be honest with you that I truly believe that everyone is an expert in leadership until they have to lead. it is much more difficult to sit there and think about what could be done differently, whether it's our presidents of the United States, whether it's our club presidents, whether it's just our parents. It's very difficult to say what should be done better and what could be done better until you're in their shoes. It's why some grandparents love laughing at their children when they themselves become parents and they struggle with their little children. Like, I had a little trouble there, son. Well, oftentimes we like to criticize until we realize, but sometimes that criticism is warranted. There's no way to know what's perfect. I'm often reminded by Mark Twain that one mustn't criticize other people on grounds where he can't stand perpendicular himself. I love that quote, and I love what it means for me. I think if you're going to lead by example, you should also have a thick skin and be willing to realize that sometimes you aren't standing perpendicular. Great leaders avoid the noise, and they let that, another way of saying that is they stick to their guns, and they let two things instead speak instead of themselves. Number one, results. Number two, their followers. If they let those two things speak and speak loudly, they can learn to be great leaders. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for the wonderful speech, Robert. And I think it was more of like a kind of interaction more than a speech. And it was wonderful interacting with you like after a long time. I think good seeing you as well. So now let's have 1 minute on the timer. Please send your individual evaluations to Robert in the message.
David's criticism so far is the best.
That's
His
1 minute.
entire response was tick tock, tick tock.
So it's gone beyond a minute.
Okay. So can I have the timers report, please?
Robert Wiggs with the speech, 10 minutes, 45 seconds.
Oh, I thought you went over an hour. I was
Robert, you were uncontested. What happened?
For the record, I that's the third time I've given that speech. I dare anybody to give that speech in less than 7 minutes and 30 seconds. It is not easy.
So do we want to take a short break, Mr. Toastmaster?
Yeah, I think let's break for now and come back at 7:40 for the table topic section.
You need to give your arms a rest there, Zach. You was holding that red ball
yeah.
up.
All right, good 2 minutes.
Go massage it, a warm compress.
I've been going to the gym for this sort of stuff.
Okay.
All right, so how's everyone enjoying their summer? No one's enjoying the summer?
I've been enjoying it by working 2 jobs.
That sounds like a blast.
I mean, I test my limits of how much I can work in one day.
Not a bad thing.
By the way, Zach, I wanted to ask you, how is your YouTube channel coming along?
Non-existent.
Okay, well, keep us posted.
Less than exemplary, let's just say.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, when you said beyond the pale, up until that time, I thought it was PALE, and I realize it's now PALE.
Oh, okay.
So thank you for enlightening me.
You're welcome.
That's a different kind of pale, Zach.
Yes.
By the way, Zach helped me choose the word of the day because I picked up a 2,000-page tome and asked for somebody to please tell me a page, and Zach picked page 635, which had a lot of E's on it. And this is a little fun fact, since none of us are talking, even if you're not interested in this, Tolkien worked on the Oxford English Dictionary, and he had responsibility for either the T's or the U's, which I thought was pretty cool.
You didn't like the timer on the app, Zach?
I like it, but it's not something that shows up very well on camera. Well, maybe it is. Okay, I'll try it. See how it goes. Yeah, I think it's just my camera is like 10 years old because this laptop is like 10 years old.
Well, we see Jake rather. We see Jake in the reflection.
Yeah.
So it gives us a mini screenshot of ourselves along with the timing.
So where are you, Robert, on the trail?
Right now, I am in, let me see, Hamburg, Pennsylvania, but where I'm on the trail is about midway through New Jersey. I've been relaxing over the last week, but I should be in Massachusetts or Vermont in about 2 weeks. I've only got 850 miles left to go.
Is that
which
the
means
AT?
I've only got about maybe a month and a half till I get to Maine.
Ooh.
Eventually I'll get there.
So in the heat, about how many miles do you cover a day?
Well, the beauty of the heat is that the heat is above the trees. When you're inside the trees, it could be like 95 out there and it's like 75 in there. So
Nice.
I can say I can cover about I can cover about 15 to 20 or sometimes even 25 miles a day.
Wow.
Okay. And have you seen any bears yet? Have you seen it? Oh,
I saw one bear and it was in, I think, the Smoky Mountains, which really depresses me because I want to see more bears. I want to play with some cubs.
Yeah, not a good idea. Mama might not like that too much.
You don't know unless you've tried.
So I assume that's the AT, Robert?
Back to tell us all your stories. See, there you go.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, I was just asking, I assume you're on the AT?
Yes, Appalachian
Oh.
Trail.
You
Since
started
April
down
6th.
there at Springer Mountain?
Well, it doesn't show up. There we go. I was testing the app out. I was checking the app out.
Sorry if my internet isn't
You
very
can put
good.
it without the timer. For anybody who ever is timer again, you have the app. And you can take off the minutes if you want to and just show this, and this will just come up when it's time.
Got it.
It's that little settings dial.
Yeah, I literally just downloaded the app. Should I show milliseconds?
Can. There you go.
Oh, sort of. Doesn't allow me. There we go.
Asha, you froze. What happened?
Oh, well, run it. Weird.
Yeah, she had to sign off.
So Robert, you're still coming up to Canada to to my house when you're up and get as far as Maine?
Are you going to be in your house in September?
We're waiting for the Canadian government to make a decision. July 20. It's locked up until July 21st. And after that, they'll say. Everyone else is invited too.
Well, yeah, I'll be there.
The
Okay,
answer is probably.
Well,
If you're there, I'll be there.
Oh, okay, good.
I will be there if, is it okay for me to bring my person with me? Because she's
Your
kind of,
person, you need a passport to get across the border.
oh, no, not kind of, I'm talking about your party. I'm sorry.
Oh, my party. Oh, yeah. Will the person need to be sitting down? We'll get a good chair for him, her.
No, she's pretty high functioning. She can sit with everybody else.
Yeah, good. We'll play games and include her or not, you know, have her be an audience. Is she handicapped in any way?
No.
Okay, good.
Well, yeah, but not like physically.
Okay. Yeah, it's good for people to get to be among other people, because I haven't been among other people in a long time, so the more the merrier. But I would love to have some people who are telling me that they're coming, so I'll know how many people to order food for.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Who said that?
David.
David?
Oh, David. Okay, good.
Elizabeth, when is your party and are you going to cry if you want to?
Am I going to cry? Am I going to cry?
If you want to.
I got that.
Because you
one.
would too if it happened to you.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be there. Just call my name. I'll be there.
I'll be there. Okay, so who said they're coming? David, you said you're coming?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Tammy?
I might have a +1.
You might have a what?
+1.
Plus Warren?
A +1.
+1.
Yeah.
Tammy +1. What's your friend's name, Tammy?
Carrie, Kerry.
Kerr. I like to make name tags so that people feel welcome and can talk to other people. David, what's your +1's name?
It'll be my wife, Geneve.
Geneve.
That's such a pretty name.
Geneive.
Eive. Okay.
Fortunately, I will not be able to attend, Elizabeth.
You'll be at work?
Yes, but both jobs are calling my name.
Asha, are you coming? Because I know it's a long way, but I've cleaned up a bedroom for you if you want to come.
I found out that my vaccinations didn't take.
The COVID vaccinations?
Yeah.
Didn't take?
No, my immunosuppressants warded their effectiveness.
So you don't want to be around a bunch of people?
I don't want to be on the train or the bus. I'm
Oh.
still thinking about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have lots of masks, but and I'm also concerned for you, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the Delta variant is around.
A lot of people will be inside. I figure, you know, if you're 95% protected, that means you're 5% not protected.
Right. Yeah. I asked if I could get a third vaccine, and my transplant coordinator said they haven't worked that out yet.
Well, believe it or not, there are experimentation about teleportation. They have teleported, I think, a molecule or something.
Oh, good.
So,
well, if you see me there,
I haven't done it in humans yet.
So. Okay. Well, I'll do my best to bilocate.
Right.
All right, Sean, it's all you.
All right, sorry to interrupt you guys, but recess is over. I am calling the meeting back to order. And now we will transition over to the table topics section now, and we'll give the stage to Luke Dobbs.
Thank you, Sergeant Arms. Sergeant Sean Markle. My name is Luke Dobbs. I'll be the table topics master for the evening. I am working on my pathway. So I believe it's elective 3. So I'll be working on my active listening project and hopefully giving some good listening responses after each topic. So for table topics tonight, I'd like to take us on an adventure, zigzagging across the country, experiencing the most precious natural resource that we all possess collectively, and that's the national parks. According to nature.nps.gov, a bill by President Ulysses S. Grant was signed into law in 1872, making Yellowstone the first national park. Today, there are 63 national parks managed by the National Park Service of the Department of the Interior. So for tonight, for each topic, transport us on an exemplary trip to majestic sites using either my optional suggested activity, your actual experience if you've been to this park or somewhere similar, or just your imagination taking us on that journey. So with that being said, do I have any volunteers for the first park? Toastmaster Asha, you would like to go first?
I love national parks, though I've only been to a few. Please.
No worries. So please bring us on a journey canoeing through the swampy floodplains amongst the cypress trees in Congaree National Park in South Carolina.
Oh, well, I love swampy cypress trees. I had never seen them until I was in the Carolinas, North Carolina to be exact. And I cannot tell you how much I love to canoe. You can't tell because I haven't been to the gym lately, but I used to have major guns and I enjoy being on the water. So I'm going to take you through this swampland. And at first glance, it doesn't look like there's much of anything there because you have to adjust your eyes, but the sun shines through and you see the beautiful glint of rainbow lights on the dappled water. And okay, to be honest, I've not been to South Carolina, but I've been to the swamps in North Carolina, such as Dismal Swamp, and I've been to First Landing State Park. So I'm going to take you through my experience there. And it is the most amazing thing to see the bugs there, to see the Spanish moss high above, to see the reflections on the water, and to hear the bullfrogs. I was there when a little girl stepped on a copperhead, and I thought it was absolutely amazing that she was not injured by this copperhead, and I believe it was because she had no fear. And there was nothing like, as Robert said, tramping through the Appalachians, there is nothing like being in a swampy area and protected by the trees and the places that you can see from your canoe where the shore and the sand meet. The earth is amazing because ages ago, there used to be an inland sea. And if you give me a moment in my photos, I'm going to look for a photo from the ground of a cypress swamp. So I might go over time, but I really hope not because it is gorgeous. May I please share my photos?
Yeah,
Mr. I'm at how many minutes?
2.5.
Oh, bother. Never mind. Well, I encourage everybody to visit as many national parks as you can and start with the state parks and the national parks right next to you.
Thank you very much, Asha, for that story, bringing us to the floodplains. And you're actually correct that the floodplains were because of the inland sea so many years or so many eons ago. And as chance would have it, Congaree is really not that far away, maybe 3 hours maximum. So I encourage everyone to take the visit of that. Who would like to go next? Jake, let's take a shot. Thank you for volunteering. So please take us on an adventure amongst the glaciers and peaks of Glacier National Park in Montana?
Oh, I was just in Glacier National Park last week, actually. So I was not in Glacier very long though, because my brothers and I went, excuse me, for a fly fishing trip. And first we stopped in Yellowstone, Wyoming, and we hung out there for a few nights. And we did a little bit of fly fishing. Got skunked in Yellowstone, didn't catch anything. But the views, I mean, they were crazy views though. It was really something. They were exemplary views. And then after that, we went up to Glacier, which is about an 8-hour drive. We went into the park because we were looking for streams to fish, and there we talked to a couple park rangers. They told us that there were a few trails that fly fishing is very good on, and those trails were actually closed when we went up there. So we actually camped out in Flathead National Forest, which is right outside of Glacier National Park. I know I'm not really talking about the peaks of Glacier or anything like that, but figured since this was last week, I might as well just touch on what I did personally. In Glacier, I caught 3 fish, and my little brother caught 2 fish. It was probably some of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen in my life. So I had a great time. The fishing wasn't the best in terms of what we caught, but and then probably was it Robert? Was that who was on the Appalachian Trail, right? Yep. Robert, yeah, it'll probably make you laugh. And we went to Yellowstone. It was pretty bad because we're pretty novice hikers, and we packed way too much stuff. And we only probably did about 6 miles out, and I'll bet you we had about 50 pounds of stuff on our back each.
Wow.
So I figured that'd make you laugh because you kind of seem like you're a seasoned hiker. So how much weight are you usually carrying on a trip like yours?
As low as 10 and as much as 50 on a long.
Okay, yeah, because it was pretty unbearable after 6 miles. I mean, we were done. So, and it was about 100 degrees the whole time. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. That was great. What kind of fish were you catching out there?
Trout. I caught mostly brook trout, and I caught 2 brook trout, 1 rainbow trout.
Fly fishing is something I'd love to try, especially in a national park such as that. And we even got a 2-for-1 with you. So thank you so much for your story. Yellowstone and Glacier. Who would like to go next? Toastmaster Lee, would you like to try your hand at it?
Okay, I'm good.
You good as in pass, or would you like to try?
No, I'd like a tabletop it, please.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I would love to. So, take us on a journey spelunking in the vast caverns and caves of Mammoth Cave National Park, Kentucky, deep in the caves.
Mr. Tabletop Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. I don't think I've ever really been in any of the caves. We do have some caves out in way out western Virginia, the Luray Caverns. I've probably driven by there years ago, but we never actually went into that and did that site tour or whatever. But I think one of the things that I can relate to a park, obviously here in Virginia Beach, we have First Landing, or it was Seashore State Park. I've been in that park several times. And probably first in Boy Scouts, I think we hiked a few of the trails. And then when I got out of high school or college, and even after that, I just rode my bike through there with friends a few times. I've been back to Back Bay Wildlife Refuge on the other side of the city, down in the southern part. I really haven't been back too much of that. It's usually with a community services like Clean the Bay Day or whatever, and going to pick up debris and trash. But there's a lot of good things to see there. But also I've had the experience of whitewater rafting, and I don't know if that's really in a park in West Virginia, but we've gone on the New River, and there's different parts. You have the upper gully, the lower gully, and I know when you're on the raft and you're going through the rapids, and most of it's kind of calm, but then your guide tells you, okay, be prepared. This is a class 3, class 4, and the higher number, I think class 5 or 6 is like the highest number, but you know, he prepares you for it. But you get to see a lot of scenery there, and you get to stop off at a beach spot for lunch, and you get to enjoy the wildlife and the scenery. So those are my experiences, I guess, with a park, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Lee. As luck would have it, the New River Gorge National Park is actually the newest national park in our system. So I too would love to experience what you brought us with upon on our tour with your story. And conservation efforts is a great activity to do in these parks. So picking up trash is a very worthy activity as well. So thank you for that. Who would like to be next?
I'll go up next.
Miss Kathleen, raise your hand first. We'll go over to you first, and then Sean afterwards, if that sounds good. Kathleen, could you take us on an overnighting trip amongst the sea turtles on the Civil War fort on top of the island of Dry Tortugas National Park, which is just off the coast of Key West?
Unfortunately, I've never been to Key West before. I've almost rarely ever been to Florida before, maybe a couple times. So I don't really have any experience with sea turtles off the coast. It sounds like fun, a great place to go. And I hope I can go there someday, especially since I have a very good friend that lives in Key West, and I would love to visit her. I have had some experience with the George Washington National Forest. I think that's a national park in Virginia off of the Blue Ridge Parkway, and maybe the Appalachian Trail goes through there. There is a section of that huge forest called the St. Mary's Wilderness Area. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of this before, but it's a place where I've actually been backpacking with my son and his friend. This was a long time ago, and we backpacked into this area, and it's totally rustic. There's no restrooms, there's no buildings, and we camped out for the weekend. And it was quite the adventure, especially since it rained on us. So that is the last time I have been backpacked to the national forest, but it was a lot of fun, and we do have some beautiful national forests and national parks, and I would love to visit every single one of them someday. It's on my bucket list.
Thank you, Kathleen. I too would love to visit all of them as well. And it's fun that they're enumerated so that you could check them all off. I believe the Shenandoah National Park is actually in the George Washington National Forest, which is on the trail there, which is I'm sure very close to where you were backpacking. You definitely will need to use your friend as an excuse to go down to Key West. And if you are down there, take a quick boat over to Dry Tortugas. I bet you that would be a pretty unique experience. And then Sean, I believe you would like a topic. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, Sean, thank you very much. Could you take us on a journey watching the whales in the Bay of Kenai Fords National Park of Alaska?
Yeah, of course. I went there last summer to visit my parents who were living there in Anchorage. And while I was in Anchorage, we decided to go up to that national park and do whale watching. And let me tell you something, that view of whales jumping up into the sky and just the mountains around and the glaciers around was super mesmerizing. To this day, that image is still ingrained in my head. It was really cool seeing whales because it was actually my first time seeing whales in person. I've only seen them on screen and on TV, and I never realized how humongous and gigantic they were. They're probably like the size of, no exaggeration, a football field. And overall, I really enjoyed the trip, and I would love to go back. And now back to you, Table Topics Master of the Evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sean. That was excellent. I think Alaska is definitely a bucket list item. And if we could all be so lucky to see a whale, that would definitely be the experience of a lifetime. So I appreciate that. Do I have another volunteer?
I'll go next.
Thank you, Toastmaster David. Could you take us on an underwater adventure in the Biscayne Bay National Park of Miami?
No, I can't. However, if anyone knows, marriage can be a very rocky thing. It's great. You have great times, and I love being married, but then there are times where all parties within the marriage, the two, both take stupid pills and then you just do things that aren't supposed to happen. So anyway, we got to a point where we were a little bit like this. So I decided that we needed to get away. So my wife and I decided to surprise my wife. She was reluctant at first to get the kids babysat for 4 days. And we went out to Draper, Virginia at a cabin in Draper, Virginia off of New River. And I'm going to share my screen. And we were able to stay at this cabin. Share. We stayed at this cabin for 4 days. And we got to know each other. And it was a long drive out to Draper, Virginia. And we did some together stuff and we learned about each other. And at first it was a little tension, but then we were able to just relax and enjoy each other again and just get back to the way it was when we first met, when we first fell in love and stuff. And we went horseback riding together and we sat on a lake and there was a swing right underneath this this porch here. So we was playing on the swing and we lit a fire and we had all sorts of fun for those 4 weeks, and it helped us to come together as a couple. And so I would definitely, for anyone who's married, suggest that you just take the time to go and just enjoy each other and get to learn. Let's see, there was a swing under here. I guess they took it down. There it is. And you can hear the water rushing past and see fish jumping every once in a while. And it was just a great time. So no, I cannot talk about anything that has to do with that park he was talking about, but we did enjoy some nature together as a married couple. So back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, David, very much. I believe it was John Muir that said that out with the wilderness is the sanctuary for the human spirit, or something like that, paraphrasing perhaps. But it really just speaks to the necessity of our spirit to find peace out in the wilderness, both as individuals and as relationship builders. I believe it's a very powerful effect. So I appreciate that story that you shared with us. Are there any volunteers left? Robert, would you mind sharing a story with us?
I certainly could. I don't know how stable my internet is, though.
Okay. Well, as it happens, I do have the Great Smoky Mountain National Park on our list. I'm sure you might have a story for us that you could share in that park.
Well, I can give you a bear of a story about the Great Smoky National Park because, as a matter of fact, that's what I was hoping to see the entire time I was there. Instead, all I saw when I went to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park was a lot of cold, a lot of other people hiking with a lot of weight on their back, a lot of people waking up at 7 in the morning and realizing, why is it snowing in early May? Oh, that's right, because we are 6,000 feet above sea level. And apparently that's what happens when you're in the Great Smoky National Park. Even in August, it doesn't matter. Great Smoky Mountains National Park, however, does have some beautiful terrain. It has some beautiful wooded areas, great, grandiose, beautiful wooded areas that you just say, okay, this is comfortable. This is nice. I could kind of live here. And then it changes. You kind of climb up some rocks. You got some steep ascents and eventually get to some pine trees. Why would you see pine trees at the top? I don't know, but that's what you're going to see. You're hoping for a bear of a story. You're hoping for a bear of an experience, but a lot of times you don't necessarily see a bear. There's apparently a lot of them there. I think at some point they realized there's a lot of humans there. When they realized there's a lot of humans there, they started to get scared and run away, or at the very least, they stopped trying to get our food. We managed to hide it pretty well. I will tell you that I did actually see a bear. It was on the last mile of the last hour of the last day that I actually was in the Smoky Mountain National Park. It is a beautiful park. It has a lot of things to see, a lot of views. As a matter of fact, I went to the very top, 6,623 feet, and I saw above the clouds. It wasn't until the last day that I saw a bear. I saw the bear, the back part of a bear, running away from me as fast as I could. And just like that, he was gone. You'll see a lot of things, but you won't necessarily see bears. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Robert, so much. I may share an experience very similar because I was fortunate enough to do the Smoky Mountain sections with my brother last year, and I was very much hoping for a bear as well. I believe I may saw a backside of one, just a fleeting glance as he disappeared over a ridge, but I can never really be sure. I did, however, see actually 2 bears in the Virginia section of it myself, so that was a makeup on that.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to see them. I don't want to see them coming at me.
There was a guy. I did meet a guy on the trail named Two Bears, and I said, "Why is your name Two Bears? Did you see 2 bears?" And he said, "Well, I'm called Two Bears because when I was in the Smokies, I saw 2 bears having sex." So I thought that was interesting.
Excellent. Okay, well, if I have no more volunteers. Well, thank you, Toastmasters, all for your wonderful stories. You truly took us on a descriptive journey amongst your each individual experiences. I encourage you all to look up some of these parks when you do get a chance and the moment strikes you, and learn a little bit about our greatest national treasure. And with that, I turn it over to you, Toastmaster of the evening. Oh, I'm sorry, Asha, did I miss you?
No, I spoke, but I just wanted to say you did mention, or Jake mentioned, you mentioned Alaska, Wyoming, and Montana, but I just want to tell everybody that if you can get to the national parks in New Mexico, California, all along the Utah, all of those places, the Four Corners, just please go there.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, with that, back to you, Toastmaster Sandeep.
Thank you, Table Topics Master Luke Dobbs. That was a great session, especially for the first time. We had different experiences shared by all the people. So now I would like to move on to the final section, that is the evaluation part. And this is a constructive feedback given by the general evaluator and all the helpers. So without further ado, I would like to—
Point of order, you need a timers report.
Yeah, before that, let me have the timers report, Mr. Timer.
All right, Toastmaster Asha, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Jake, 2 minutes and 39 seconds. Luke, yes, Luke. Wait, is that right, Luke? I wrote Luke. Who was the third person? Oh, Lee. I'm sorry. Lee Walker, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Kathleen, 1 minute and 48 seconds. Sean Markle, 53 seconds. David Marshall, 2 minutes and 44 seconds. And Robert Riggs, 1 minute and 55 seconds.
I like to contest those times because there's no way Robert is less time than I have. I don't agree with it.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. So without further ado, let me hand it over to the gentle evaluator of the evening, Elizabeth Clare. You are on mute.
You're muted.
Madam Toastmaster.
All that wonderful speaking and you didn't hear me. I'm so sorry. It's time now to find out how we did, what wonderful things we achieved and accomplished in our exemplary meeting, and if there were any little things that we can improve on the next time we have a meeting. So the first part of evaluation is the evaluation of our speakers tonight. There'll be an evaluation of Robert Riggs and an evaluation of Luke Dobbs on his table topics. So our first evaluator will be David Marshall.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Robert, great speech. You did a lot well. And it's usually when a seasoned Toastmaster speaks, people tend to get tied up in actually giving an evaluation, but I am a firm believer that everyone can improve on something. So we should be able to find something that every speaker can improve upon. I think you had very good eye contact and you did a really good job engaging the audience. You actually called people out and you pulled them into your speech. That was really good. I saw that your content was very well prepared. So you did know your speaking points. You did know what you wanted to talk about, and that was very good. I think some of the things you could have worked on, though, was you were seated through your speech, and that's easy to do when we're on Zoom. But I've seen you in the past where you did stand up and use more hand gestures. And so because you were seated, we didn't see a whole lot of that. I noticed that your speaking speed was very quick. You were speaking very quickly, and I don't know if you was trying to a time trial or something, or you really was trying to make the time and get your content in. But I noticed that your speaking speed was a little too fast at times, and I noticed that wasn't a whole lot of white space in your speech. So you were speaking very quickly and not a whole lot of pauses. So I couldn't really distinguish where the parts of your speech started and ended. So that gets me to the next point was, I didn't know how many points you had. Like, did you have specific points that you wanted to hit, or specific topics that you wanted to hit because you went through it so quickly? So I couldn't really see where the parts of your speech were. And of course, timing. Very important. Timing is something that we all should work on because it helps us to be more concise with our speech. And it helps us to be more concise with our speaking and to learn how to manage our time while we're speaking. So I would challenge you, as I'm looking at my timer right now, because I'm trying to manage my time, and I might not have met the 2-3 minute mark.
You muted yourself.
I don't know how that happened. Must have hit something. Is to slow down your speech and to maybe have like 3 or 4 major points, because you mentioned at the end that is difficult to say that speech because of the amount of content it is. But if you made 3 or 4 major points and really did a deep dive into those to kind of give an overview of leadership, that would be great. And that would help you manage your time. So that's all I have, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, David. Good job. Next, Lee, will you please evaluate Luke Dobbs and how well he did with his table topics?
So Luke Dobbs was our table topics master this evening. He was working on the project. It's called active listening. And you're acting as the table topics master. You give a topic and listen for the response. And then you're supposed to respond to the table topic response and kind of for about 30 seconds at the most, and just kind of add on to the response and you're bringing your own experience that's kind of related to the table topic and also the response. I did this project myself a while back in my path. So it's the same kind of evaluation that most speeches and projects are. Did you speak clearly, or was there clarity? Yes. Was there some vocal variety? That's something you may want to kind of work on, but it's kind of challenging here, it being table topics master, to have vocal variety, but I guess you could use some in the response after somebody's responded to your question and they say something interesting or piques your interest. You kind of can be excited about it or whatever, show some emotion. And then I think you had good eye contact. You're looking at your camera, you're looking at the screen. You appeared comfortable, confident. But the 2 main points for this evaluation are the active listening and focusing on specific content, and then engagement and interest. And I think all of us, to some degree or level, have an interest in the outdoors or parks and traveling and seeing sites that are outside of our own locality. So for each of the table topics, you gave your question and then waited for the response, and then you added on to that or kind of continued with your own experience or kind of tied it back around for some people that pivoted kind of like me, because I haven't traveled a whole lot out of Virginia, but I did have some personal experiences, and you drew into those and brought those up. So that shows that you were listening and you responded to my response. And some of the other speakers, you drew in your own personal experience and then brought it back. I think this was well researched. You had a listing of the national parks, and at the end you encouraged us to visit some of these parks, and some of the table topics participants encouraged us to visit some of these places as well. And it's okay to pivot when you haven't traveled or visit somewhere, but just always try to bring in some kind of personal experience to the question or topic at hand. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Lee. We need a timers report for our 2 evaluators, please.
So unfortunately, the app crashed when David was doing the evaluation, but for Lee Walker, it was 3 minutes and 16 seconds. And I believe, David, you timed yourself?
Oh yeah, I have a perfect 3 minutes.
Perfect 3 minutes, great. Perfect 3 minutes it is.
Okay. So shall we vote? Who collects the votes, please?
Well, we're not doing that today. This
We're not?
Not today.
Andrew isn't here.
But I nominate myself, so I think I've done. It's a tie. Okay, it's a tie. It's a tie.
You got your ribbons?
Are we gonna vote on table topics?
Well, since we don't have a poll for table topics, that means that we can all participate, even the many of us who went over.
There we go.
So we're all tied too, right? Right?
That's right.
Were there,
Everyone's a winner today.
did we vote on table topics?
No, we're not voting today. We're gonna
Is that my
vote
fault?
after today. No, it's not.
Well, who said we're not voting?
It's my fault. I don't know how to run the poll, so.
Oh, okay.
Could I ask a question that would actually influence my vote? And the question would be directed to Sean. Sean, have you been to Knife Awards?
No, I haven't, but I've
That
seen.
was
photos.
very
That's
convincing. Very well
Oh,
done.
Yeah, Sean's very convincing.
Yeah,
You
that
show
was
his
good.
icebreaker. He's very.
We can vote like the old way, like we used to. If the president or VP wants to, or the sergeant at arms, we can send our votes into one individual.
I think for for to control time right now, I think we should forego that for now. We'll pick it up next event.
Yeah, but some people might want to win. Your general evaluator said there ought to be a vote, prizes and ribbons and trophies.
Yeah, I might want to vote for Sean.
That's right.
I
Okay.
thought he'd been there and seen the whales.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good.
Yes.
Okay, so if David, our authoritarian leader, is not going to let us vote, then I will go on to other reports. First up is our counter. Sean, can you tell us how we did tonight?
good evening, everyone. As a grammarian, I kept tab of how many times everyone said or filler words throughout the meeting. And I'll start off with Asha. I had 2 uhs and 1 you know. And for Jake, I had 2 uhs and 4 ums. For Kathleen, I didn't find anything. And for Lee, I found 2 ums, 3 you knows, 5 uhs, and 1 I guess. And then for Luke, I found 1 and for Zach, I found 5 uhs, 3 ums, and 2 you knows. And then for David, I found 2 ums. And then for Sandeep, I found 4 uhs. And then for Robert, I found 2 you knows. And then as a grammarian, I didn't see any bad usage of grammar, so I want to give, or I think everyone should pat themselves on the back for using proper grammar.
Any exemplary uses of grammar?
Ooh.
Maybe. I wasn't paying too much attention, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Sean. And our word master, do you have a report, Asha?
I do. The word exemplary was used in exemplary fashion, both online and during chat speeches and table topics. Once by Dave, twice by Elizabeth, once by Zach, once by Sandeep, twice by Robert, once by Jake, and once by Luke. And Sean, I wish you had heard me use this word before you gave your report, because unfortunately I was so mesmerized by everyone's table topics that I listened in a very desultory fashion, for which I apologize greatly.
Good word.
Thank you. However, let's start off with the listen up portion with Robert's. Questions for Robert. And this is mostly, oh, you can't see it, but most of this page is an 8.5 by 11. You can see it at an angle, is filled up with things that Robert said during his speech. So I think it would have only been a third of a page, but we know he went over, so he gave me lots to write down. But please, can we have 3 words from anybody about what makes a great leader? From any of the 3 of you, if you want to unmute yourselves briefly. Oh, for all of this, you'll want to unmute yourselves.
Integrity,
Yes.
Confidence.
communication,
All right.
communication.
Yes, yes. Great. So Robert said at the very end that you have to have a thick skin, and this really stuck with me. So let's see if it stuck with you. How do you tell a good leader? Not by what is said, but what really shows a great leader? Yes, Jake.
Followers and results.
Absolutely. And what did Robert say about being an expert in leadership? From everyone in the peanut gallery who has never been a leader but thinks they can lead. Everyone is an expert.
Excellent leader until they are one.
Exactly. And what kind of leader is Robert not?
Bureaucratic.
Yes.
Bureaucrat.
And I have so much, but let's stick with that. Except sticking, what did Zach say that Robert agreed with?
So much.
Oh,
Almost
speaking-
everything, every word for word.
Well, of course, he's your mentor, your leadership mentor. But you specifically said the word stick.
I'm going to let someone else answer that.
Sticking with your guns.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, moving on to the fantastic topic of national parks and forests, where I lost myself in your exemplary storytelling and picturesque words. Let's start off with Elizabeth Clare, and I did not write down Elizabeth's words, so anybody who can remind all of us, I would appreciate it. But what did Elizabeth say at the very end? She encouraged us. What did she encourage us all to do? When you spoke of the national park, you encouraged us to do something.
I haven't been to a national. I didn't answer a question.
Oh, but excuse my almost British. Well, oh bugger. So who was it then who encouraged us all, and it was a female, to do some backpacking in, I have forests for you, to go to national parks and forests.
Kathleen, who's
Oh, it was Kathleen.
Based on the process of elimination, I'm going to say Kathleen.
Okay. Well, that works, doesn't it?
I know it wasn't me.
George Washington National Forest. We all should go out there and back.
And how did Kathleen spend her time, and with whom did she spend it?
She spent her time backpacking in the St. Mary's National Forest, and she went with her son and her friends.
She went with her son, yes, yes. And what happened while she was there?
They got rained on.
They did. And what marvelous and exemplary thing has Lee done while visiting the great outdoors, which I should do much more of when I go to these wonderful places that are sacred?
Whitewater rafting?
Yes.
He also cleaned up and picked up trash, which I think is very exemplary.
Yes, very altruistic for Mama Earth. So what did Sean purportedly see in Alaska?
Whales.
And how large were these purportedly seen whales?
As big as a football field.
Yes.
For the record, blue whales get up to 100 feet, and I think 100 yards is a football.
It's a little bit larger.
Very nice. All right. I've only seen maybe a 50-foot whale in the San Francisco Bay, and I gave it a eulogy. It was a very profound experience. Where did David go, and what were some of the things he enjoyed doing after he and his wife took those, what kind of not so smart medications were they?
They were stupid pills.
They were stupid pills. You answered that, Dave. Someone else was
No, you
supposed to.
said what did we do after you said what did we do? That was your I
Yes, but I wanted somebody to tell me what kind of pills they were.
Oh, I didn't know it was a 2-part question.
Well, it occurred to me halfway through the
We
question.
went to a cabin
Gotcha.
and swung on a swing.
Yes.
Got to know each other.
Mm-hmm. And where was this place?
It started for like a D or something.
Draper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And they were on which river?
New River.
Yes. And that was in place of their underwater adventure. So missing someone. Robert. Well, what did Robert finally get to see?
A bear.
The backside of a bear.
The
Bear
backside.
behind.
Yes. And what would you have done, Robert, if you had seen the frontispiece of the bear?
If I had seen the what? The front side of the bear?
Well, frontispiece is what they used to call illustrations at the front of books. So what would you have done had you seen the front of the bear?
Ooh, run. No.
Well, if I actually had a little baby bear and I could go play with them, I might be willing to. I don't know. Especially if I had other people around. So bears aren't as aggressive as you think they are.
I think the bear would go in his Toastmasters meeting and say he saw the backside of a bear.
I think so. I like that. And where did Robert see the backside of this bear?
The last mile, the last day.
Smoky Mountains.
Yes, yes. And where is he headed?
He was northbound on the
Maine.
He headed towards Maine.
Does that end in Arcadia National Forest?
No.
No, it goes
Katahdin, Mount
further.
Katahdin. It's about the middle. Acadia's on the coast.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Well, thank you all for your help. And I enjoyed listening to you, and it sounds like all of you Toastmasters and guests enjoyed listening to each other. Back to you, Madam Evaluator.
Thank you so much. So really good questions and a good review of our meeting, which had a lot of exciting and summary parts in it. I didn't notice a theme for the evening, but it seemed that the questions by Luke brought forth a very summary national park theme throughout. And our meeting started on time. Sean properly turned the meeting, control of the meeting over to the invocator, which there wasn't one, so I did an invocation. But one thing the invocator should do is have a flag. So it was nice that Kathleen had a flag to present to us. The roles were almost all filled except for invocator, which is good. And I think for the table topics, I noticed that we're all so polite. We don't want to rush in and volunteer for a table topic. So if the table topics master just calls on someone, notice who does not have a major speaking role. So don't call on a speaker or a general evaluator or the Toastmaster of the evening, but everyone else is fair game. Just pose your question and call on them, or call on them and then pose your question. This will A, save time, B, it will give them a bigger jolt of adrenaline, so they have to compose a speech suddenly, which is more frightening and actually more exciting. I love the table topics questions. It really brought things to memory for those of us who've gone to national parks or other wonderful summer places. And remember, when you get a question, just as Sean did, and you haven't been there, you don't know anything about the topic, just make it up, fake it, or you can say, I don't like that question. I'll take the question that you gave to the other person and answer that. So all you have to do is make sure you speak for at least a full minute and not more than 2.5 minutes. Let's see. I like it when we are reminded by someone to write out our role for the evening on our nameplate there. So for example, I can rename myself and call myself the general evaluator. So if each of us does that at the beginning of a meeting, this will help the table topics person to know who has a major role. It'll also help the other people at the meeting to know who's doing what to whom. So I forgot, Luke Dobbs is the only one who says that, oh, Robert Riggs also. Oh, and Zach Phillips suddenly did it right. So the way to do that is just go to your name, right click and just rename yourself. Counter, I like the counting when it was like very thorough, because if you just say, well, more than 5 or too many, that's not a good starting place. We want to know where we're starting at. I started at 17 ahs and I think 11 no, 11 okays. So that the next time when I only had 14 ahs, I knew I was getting a little bit better. So don't fake it and say more than 5. So you did a good job, Asha, in telling us how many and which kinds we're up to. Grammarian, you didn't have any bad grammar to report, and I didn't hear any either. Timing was well done, except that we need to have something clearer than right, when you put the envelope up there, it turned white, so we didn't see it. The red balloon was very red. So Zach, thank you for the red balloon, but we couldn't really tell the difference between the green and the yellow. But thanks. I totally enjoyed this evening and enjoyed hearing everybody's table topics. And I would like us to unmute ourselves and let's hear a real loud round of applause for all the speakers, the evaluators, and the team of helpers this evening. Let's keep up the energy. Louder. Okay. And don't forget to invite guests. You go places, so you know people, and people do want to improve their communication skills. And I think a Zoom meeting is very easy for someone to tune into from the comfort of their own home. They don't have to drive any place. They don't have to get terribly dressed up. And we can grow our club, use some of your skills at communication and leadership and invite people to our meeting. And I'm inviting you to actually David's idea that we should meet in person, which will be this Sunday. And someone volunteered my backyard. It's only a 50% chance of rain, so could be it's going to be raining someplace else other than my backyard. So if you have not been vaccinated, please wear a mask and keep socially distant. But otherwise, you're very welcome. Hope everybody else is vaccinated and we will have a good time. But I need to know how many people are coming. So if you would please either email me or tell me tonight that you're coming. I have also invited the Virginia Beach Toastmasters to come, because I decided as long as people are coming, I'm going to turn it into my retirement party. Wait, I don't have to have 2 parties. I'll have friends coming, my retirement party. Nothing to bring. Bring your own beer or booze or something. I don't know what people drink, so I'll supply food. I'll supply food and punch and soda and tea and water and milk. But if you like something stronger than that, please bring your own. Okay?
Will you have kayaking?
What's that?
Will you have kayaking?
Yes, there's going to be kayak lessons. There's going to be table topics. There's going to be games, bocce. I just scouted out piece of the backyard that will be our bocce court. And there's a game called Pretzel, which if you're vaccinated, you can play. There's a game called Changing Places, which run around, learn a lot about other people, and a scavenger hunt. If you're coming, please email me a secret something about yourself that I can put on a list for other people to find. For example, if you were looking for me, I might have on somebody else's list, find someone who shook hands with Malcolm X. Or find someone who walked on hot coals with Tony Robbins. So think of something interesting about yourself. Let me know without letting other people know. So something other people don't know about you. And email that to me, and I will make a scavenger hunt of people so that people will all mix around and get to know each other, because in addition to the other club, maybe one of my employees and one of my neighbors will come, and one of my dog walking friends. Okay? So back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Who's our Toastmaster? Is that Ronnie? Sandeep.
Yeah, thank you, General Evaluator. So without further ado, I would turn it back to the president.
All right, I think I thought your video froze for a little bit there, but thank you, Ronnie. You did a great job as your first time Toastmaster of the evening. Great job. Let's give him a round of applause, everyone. I gave you both ways. I know I could be corny with my jokes every once in a while, but hey, that's what we're at. New beginnings. We are ourselves, and you're free to be yourself. So I'm always happy to come to these events every Tuesday to see everyone here and just to be yourselves and us have fun. I think this is a fantastic event, as it is every Tuesday. Luke Dobbs, you did a fantastic job for your first table topics. Thank you for that role. And I really appreciate that. You did a great job. So, Jake, how did you enjoy your second event?
I enjoyed it a lot. I don't think I did personally quite as good this time, but that's okay. It leaves me a lot of room for improvement. And I really enjoyed a lot of your stories. Nature and national parks is one of my favorite subjects. So I really liked those topics of today. And I'm glad to hear Robert's hiking the Appalachian Trail. I'd like to do that someday. I'm from West Virginia, so it's home to me. I guess Virginia is too, but I really enjoyed everybody's speaking roles today. So thank you all.
And I'm glad that you remembered us. You reached out and said, hey, is there an event today? And so I really appreciate that. I'll be sure to make sure you're on the list to receive those agendas. Toastmaster Kathleen, how did you enjoy your event today?
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed all of your humor and personalities and learning so much about everybody. You have a great group here. Looks like you all have a lot of fun every meeting. I love that you all can be yourselves and kind of cut up and just have fun. That's great.
Fantastic. Is there I know I didn't get an email, but I believe there's a officers training leadership institute.
I was going to say something about that.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, actually, one of the reasons that I had wanted to be at the meeting tonight was to introduce myself as the Area 51 director, now that I'm officially the Area 51 director. I wanted to try to tell you a little bit about myself and talk about Toastmasters, but I'm not sure if you have time for this. David?
Yeah, I believe, we have some time.
Okay.
We're wrapping it up right now.
Okay. I've been in Toastmasters since 2016. I joined in March of 2016. And I would say that if when you first joined Toastmasters, you're at this level, I was probably down here as far as public speaking goes. I had a long way to go just to get up to probably normal. This printout right here is my education record since then. You can get this from the Toastmasters International website once you start doing projects and earning things. As I look back through this, it's kind of like a personal journey of what I've been through since I joined Toastmasters. I still remember my very first icebreaker speech where I took that very, very long walk up to the lectern and gave that speech. And I was so terrified. And as I look back through the names of all my speeches through the years, it brings back a lot of memories of how scared and how much time and work I've put into so many of the projects and speeches. And it's getting to be much easier and more natural now. So I encourage those of you who are just joining or have joined during the pandemic. It's going to be a whole different experience when you have to go live and you have to be back up in front of people. So it will be a big adventure. One of the things I'd like to do is congratulate this club on being President Select last year. That is an exemplary, I can't say it very well, accomplishment, and especially with the pandemic. Very few clubs made President Select. As a matter of fact, I would love to know how you all did it. So I will be communicating with your new officers or the old officers about how you managed to do that. And I would also like to congratulate the new officers that started July 1st. And the Toastmasters has 2 trainings a year for officers. One's called the Summer Leadership Institute, one's in the winter. And then they have since then kind of added in a few more. But the Summer Leadership Institute is this Saturday from 8 to 4. And all of your leaders last year apparently took that class. There's an actual award you can get if all of you do it, but at least 4 of you need to do it. And I highly encourage you to participate in that. You have to register, and it's a little tricky to register. Their website and how you get to it is a little difficult, but I'm sure that David or your VPE would be glad to help you to register to get on there. Let's see. I kind of look at Toastmasters as a place you can do your rough draft, because what you're doing is practicing for life and for what you're going to take out into the real world. This is the greatest experiences that you can have to learn. People here are very encouraging and accepting, and then you can get your skills good and then take it out into the marketplace. There's so many people I know through the years that have been promoted, gotten better jobs, and have moved on to better things because of the skills they've learned here in Toastmasters. Let's see what else. You have to step out of your comfort zone in this realm, and it's good. It's a great learning experience. One of the things that they're talking to us about in the district is that this is a team sport, and every single one of you is so important. The members are very, very important, and what they want to accomplish is this year is kind of like a back to basics thing where people are, they realize how important they are to each club, not just the clubs, but the members. So we're going to be focusing on that this year. Does anybody have any questions If you do, I'd be glad to either answer or get the answer for you. Anything I can do to help, please let me know. Asha?
I have a question. I have no problem when I'm researching something. I don't even know if this is a question to ask you, but Kathleen, when I am researching something for school, I have no problem giving a speech about that. I have a hard time giving a speech for myself, and I find it harder to give speeches on Zoom than I would in person. Maybe because I don't see people in front of me to know that we're making eye contact. But my stomach ties up in knots here, and I love to speak in person.
That's very interesting because I'm the absolute opposite. To me, this is so easy to do it on Zoom, but when you're actually in front of people, it's just much more intimidating. But I think that the key to the whole Pathways program and all of the projects, because you can memorize your speech, you can have it down to knowing exactly what you want to say, but something could happen right before you get ready to speak that absolutely blows your mind. And then you can't even remember what it was you were supposed to say. This has happened to me quite a few times. You just have to get up and do it anyway. And the more you do it, the more you take on these projects, the more you get out there, the easier it gets to be. And you get the skills. Your brain chemistry actually changes. The more you do this, the easier it gets. So just keep going. Don't let fear keep you from tackling every single project.
Thank you.
Kathleen, you were saying that you wanted to meet with the past officers and the new officers to talk about last year and this upcoming year?
Well, I definitely want to meet with the new officers. I would love to hear, or maybe if it is possible, to meet with the officers from last year to find out what they did, if that's remotely possible.
Well, the only officers that we had last year that are not current officers are myself, Andrew Bullock, and Lee Walker. But I would challenge myself, Andrew, and Lee Walker to not say anything and encourage the current officers to kind of pinpoint what they think we did well last year. By all means, we can be there if you need us to be, or answer any questions that you had about last year. But
Sure.
I would challenge David and Zach and Asha in particular as the trio to kind of pinpoint what went on last year and how we did so well.
As a matter of fact, to the new officers, you need to do a club success plan, which the template is on the Toastmasters International website, and it's due by Labor Day. And then after I get that, then I'm going to come back to your meeting again, and that will be the official visit of the area director. But I need that club success plan. I encourage you to do that. You'll probably hear more about that on Saturday. They have first timers. If this is your first time as the role there, that's the FT. If you're coming back, it's the FF. I can't remember what that stands for now, but those are people that are doing
frequent flyer.
Yeah, frequent flyer. Those are the ones that have done the role before, and they're either continuing or doing it again. Any other questions or anything else I can help anybody with? If not.
Yeah, I had a question. So it's about the training that's provided on Saturday, I think you said. So what does that training consist of? Like, what do you guys do in that meeting?
The morning is breakout sessions. When you sign up, you pick out which session you want to be in, and they're different leadership. People will be speaking about different leadership and the types of leadership and how to be a certain type of leader. And then in the afternoon is the officer training roles. if you are you a officer, Sean?
Yes, he's our sergeant.
Yep,
at arms.
an officer.
What?
Yeah, I'm an officer. I'm the sergeant at arms.
Oh, that's
officer.
right. Yeah. So this is your first time, so you would sign up for the Sergeant of Arms first time class in the afternoon.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
And I believe Zach actually has the document. There's like a Prometric document on how to register. So if you've never registered for Prometric before, Sean, Zach and maybe David, I think have that document. And it's on if you go to tmdistrict66.org, you can also find it there.
Following this event, we always have our hot wash. So all the officers just stick back and we'll go through that. I already have it pulled up. I'll share the screen and we'll go through that. So if that's all we have, we can actually wrap up this event. Anything else, Toastmaster Kathleen? Thank you so much for joining us. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us all that great info. I was going to try to get with you or somebody, probably Robert, and try to figure out how to get us all registered. And you were definitely helpful with that because it just seemed extremely complicated and it really weird. But
I have a link. I can email it to you, David. And
yeah, I have it pulled up. Pro class support, and there's a PDF and everything.
this is the first Toastmasters quarter too, because that's one of the first things you're confronted with is which quarter is this? And it's right. It can be a little confusing.
Okay, so I don't have any further. That was actually the only announcement I had that we knew. I knew there was the Summer Leadership Institute. I just didn't know the details or how to get that. So perfect timing, Toastmaster Kathleen, for coming up with that. So I don't have any other announcements. I really had a great time this evening. Next week is that the third Sunday? I mean, third Tuesday.
Yeah, it's
Third
the
Tuesday,
officers
right?
meeting.
Yeah, so officers meeting next Tuesday, and then on the 27th we will have our next event. So thank you all for joining us. Our club officers, please stick around for our hot wash, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
David, did you want me to share the screen for?
Oh yeah,